Hello and welcome back. Now this is a bit of an unusual video and I just want to warn you there may be some sound fluctuations in this video because of some of the music, so please be ready to adjust the volume. It's unusual because the video is in two parts and the second part has absolutely nothing to do with crafting. So as you can see, the first part has got to do with my latest free printable. And with that free printable, you can make these gorgeous paper beads with an abstract sun theme. I wanted to put the sun on there to celebrate the end of summer and the coming of autumn in the UK, which is why I've given the beads this lovely warm colour. And I'm sure lots of you out there are going to want to get this free printable, and you can do that by going to my website, which is www.funcraftstodoathome.com. And if you are new here and you're not sure how to get my paper bead templates or how to use them, the video that I did before this, which I will leave a link to in the top right hand corner of this screen right now, if you click on that link, it will take you to the video where I explain exactly how to get my free printables, because there has been some confusion, although most of you that have come back to me in response to that video have said that there was no confusion, and lots of people have been happily downloading my free printables with no problem. If you have had a problem or you don't know how to get my free printables, please go and check out that video. It's the video that I published before this one, and in that video you'll find very clear instructions on how to get all of my free printables, all the current ones and all the past ones. Okay? And if you're new to paper bead making, then you need to watch the video that I'm now going to link in the top right hand corner again. And if you click on that link, it will take you to a video in which I explain exactly how to make paper beads from my free printable designs. And for those of you that want to get my latest free design depicting the sun, I will leave a link at the very top of the description of this video underneath the video. Okay, so that link will take you straight through to the blog post that's relevant to this video. Okay, I hope all that is clear. If it's not, drop me a comment and I'll try to help you. So, what is the second half of this video about, and why am I talking to you about an English castle? Well, in my last video, those of you that have seen it will know that I did a voiceover and I needed some footage that I could show you while I was doing the voiceover. And I used lots of footage that I'd shot in various places during the spring and summer of this year. And part of the video that I used was the outside of a castle down in Devon in the UK called Watermouth Castle. And I did tell my viewers to let me know if anybody wanted to see the inside of the castle, to let me know in the comments, and if enough people wanted that, I would show you the inside of the castle. Well, several of you did say that you wanted to see inside, and my goodness, this was nothing like I expected, which is one of the reasons why I want to show it to you. I am also quite curious to find out what my foreign viewers think of this castle. Have you seen anything like this before? Have you seen anything so strange, so quirky, so weird? I really would love to know what you think. Well, not just my foreign viewers, but I'd like to know my UK viewers. Have you been to Watermouth Castle? What did you think of it? Did it creep you out? Was it fun? Was it exciting? I'd love to hear other people's views on this castle because it did make quite an impression on me. I was quite freaked out by parts of it, I have to say, because I am very claustrophobic, and my goodness, when I went down into the dungeon, no, it was really difficult for me, and I didn't actually make it through the whole dungeon. There is a point as you're making your way through the dungeon, which is very narrow passages, there is a point at which it's going to get even creepier, and so they do give you a door that you can leave through and get back out into daylight. And I have to say, as soon as I had the opportunity to leave through that door, I mean, I got complete sensory overload by that point, and I literally ran to that door and just couldn't get through it fast enough. So I really love your opinion. Was I being a baby? Would you have done the same? Probably to some of you this will seem quite tame, but you know, you're listening to someone who can't even go into the ghost train at a fun fair. So Yeah, there wasn't much hope for me there. But anyway, so that's what the second half of, or the second part of this video is going to be. It's for those of you that took the time to leave me a comment last time and expressed an interest in seeing the inside of the castle. One thing I will say is, when I was shooting these video clips, at the time I had no intention of publishing them anywhere. I basically was taking the clips because I wanted to show that other people that we'd gone on holiday with, but who didn't come to the castle with us, I wanted to show them where we had been, and I knew that they would never believe that I had actually been down into this dungeon, or to be honest, to go even inside the above ground part of the castle, because there was some dark rooms, and yeah, it wasn't the usual kind of place that anybody would find me. And the thing was, when we actually booked the tickets to go to this castle, we thought it was another stately home. And stately homes we visit all the time, and we love them. But this was not a stately home in any sense of the word. Anyway, I'll leave it. You can watch, for those of you that are interested, you can watch once I've told you a bit more about these paper beads. We'll get on to the second part of the video and you can just watch the whole thing, okay? Some of it is quite bizarre, and yeah, I'm interested to see if you think that it's bizarre, or if I'm just nuts. You know, do you think this is bizarre? Is it just me? So, first things first, on to the free printable. This is what yours is going to look like, because I've done the ink saving version for people to download. So that means that I just put a big white bit down the middle of each strip to save your ink, because that middle part of the strip doesn't get seen by anyone. So I only put the colour at the sides. Okay, so that's the version that you will get if you want to download it. The strips you're about to see are exactly the same. It's exactly the same sun design, but it's before I put the white ink saving strip down the middle. So, as my regular viewers will know, this is what your paper bead strips are going to look like after you've cut them out. But obviously, as I said, yours will have the white strip down the middle. So if you're new here, if you've never done this before, check out the links. I will actually put the links below in the description of the video as well. So if you are a newbie, you can go down there and find the video that will tell you how to turn these strips into beads like this. Okay? I don't really want to repeat myself here, because my regular viewers will get really tired of seeing the same paper bead rolling tutorials all the time. So I'm just going to refer people back now. For any new people, I'm going to refer you to the videos where you can learn how to turn paper bead strips into beads, how to cut the strips, how to stick them, how to seal them, because I have gone back to using an older method of dry sealing my paper beads. So you'll find all of that in the previous videos that I have done, and as I said, I am going to leave links to previous videos down in the description. There will also be a couple of link cards that I mentioned earlier on that will be up in the top right hand corner of the screen to specific videos, okay? So if you're not sure, just go back and have a look, or go straight to the description. I hope all that is clear. But, as I always say, you can always ask me anything you need to know in the comments below. And I do try to get back to everyone. I know I have periods where I let my comments build up and I don't get back to people for a couple of weeks, but I'm really trying to get back to people quickly now. And now we're going to move on to the second part of this video, where I take you inside Watermouth Castle. Now I'm going to take you up the back steps first of all, so that I can explain a bit of the background on the castle before we actually go in there. And I will leave a link in the description below and over on my blog to the Watermouth Castle website, where they give you a brief history of the castle, and you also get to see a couple of pictures there of the castle when it was actually lived in, and it was nothing like it is now. Okay, so that is worth a look. So the castle is not as old as most English castles. It was actually built in 1825 by Arthur Bassett, who was married to somebody called Harriet, and he built the castle for her. Now the Bassets were a historical family that were recorded in the Domesday Book, and apparently they came to Britain with William the Conqueror, so they do have quite an illustrious history. Now, I don't know how true this is, but a member of staff at the castle told me that Harriet didn't actually like this castle and never lived here. No idea if that's true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me because it's not exactly homely. It's very exciting as a tourist attraction, but I definitely wouldn't want to be wandering around here at night, you know, if you're going to come downstairs for a glass of water. No, I don't think that would really appeal to me. Now you can see that this is right on the coast. It's Ilfracombe in Devon, and it overlooks the sea, hence the name Watermouth. And there is very strong evidence that this was some kind of a smuggler's haven at one time. So what were we expecting when we booked our tickets for Watermouth Castle? Well, this is the kind of thing that we were expecting. This is a typical English stately home, and we do go to many stately homes, and this is the kind of thing that you would normally see. You would see how the people lived and the things that they had in the house, and it's all very civilized and quiet, and you don't touch anything, and that's kind of what we were expecting. But it was quite clear when we approached the castle that that wasn't what we were going to get, because as soon as we approached the front door, we could hear what sounded like fairground organ music, and that was really our first indication that we were in for a very, very different experience indeed. And because I love fairground organ music, I couldn't wait to get into the castle to see where on earth this music was coming from. The whole thing was just so weird, and I still wasn't sure where the music was coming from, and just standing here trying to take it all in, I was really just really blown away with what we found. So I turned left into this room here, and I soon found out where that music was coming from. It was coming from this robot band up on a stage at the side of the room, and the room was really weirdly lit. It's not my favourite kind of lighting. I am quite claustrophobic, and I don't really like, I can't explain it. It's not, I wouldn't want to be in that room on my own, put it that way. And it was just so odd. Walking into this room, which would have been, I don't know what, it would have been a sitting room, I guess, at one point in time. And it's just this strange stage with this robot band and this organ music that when the music stops, the organ starts to wheeze as it winds down, and then when it starts up again, you get this really weird wheezing again. It was all so surreal. So just from being in this one room without even having seen the rest of the castle, just looking around at the decor and all the weird and wonderful things that were in just this one room, we realised that this was an extremely eccentric place that had at one time been owned by an extremely eccentric man. And we will find out more about his eccentricity as we go through the castle and see the strange things that he collected and the mechanical models that he made and just everything that's gone into making the castle what it is today. Listen to this. That reminded me of the organ in the old Sunset Boulevard movie with Gloria Swanson. That was really creepy, that organ. And then there was this. So this is a self-playing piano that works from perforated rolls of paper and a tracking bar with 88 holes. They would normally work through a bellows foot pump, but this one has been electrified, and because of that, before it got to the end of the roll of paper, the guy that works there had to stop it, because if he hadn't, there was a danger that the roll of paper would be ripped out of the piano and flung across the room. So Zach, I think his name was Zach, he had to stop it quickly so that wouldn't happen. He was such a knowledgeable guy, and he clearly loves his job. He was so enthusiastic about everything, and he just couldn't wait to tell us how everything worked. And that's what you need in a place like this. You need people with enthusiasm that can tell you about all the exhibits, and that's exactly what he did. So if you're watching this, Zach, and your name is Zach, thanks so much. You made our visit there really enjoyable.
The 1970s, and it's a replica of what you'd usually find at fairgrounds on the big trucks. So it's usually talking one that's usually this big. It's a little bit sharp. So watch your ears. Doors of the volume, exactly right. But this is all mechanical, so there's no electric to this one.
They've got music. What's in there?
It just works on friction if it will work. On friction. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Give it a go. It's quite heavy is the trouble. Don't conk out. It's not going to work today.
Not to worry.
It's a bit old and broken, this one. But yeah, exactly like you're saying, it just works like a speaker cabinet. Two settings, half volume or full volume, really. And with ones like this, we also have this little carrot. I might have one here actually. These amazingly delicate little things. So these would sit on here.
Oh my god.
And dance along to the songs that's going around it. Feel the vibrations of the record and just dance along.
Amazing.
But it's all very, very old and very delicate now.
And then we moved on into the second room where we encountered these really incredibly lifelike dummies. I don't like mannequins. I don't like mannequins. I think I should probably say here that this is one of Ilfracombe's top tourist attractions, so you may be wondering why, in that case, there's no people in my video. Well, for one thing, it was really early in the season, and another thing, it was very late in the day. I think we were about an hour away from closing time. And when I'm filming anywhere in public, I try to avoid getting anybody in my shots where possible. So I was really quite pleased that we were there so late and there weren't very many people around. Because it's actually a very, very popular place, and I think it would be hard to get people free shots. So when you come out of those rooms, you come into this room, which is the back of the main hall. You know, the very first shot we saw, looking down the hall? Well, this is at the back of the hall. Oh my god, this guy was so creepy. He looked so real. And look at this woman at the top of the stairs. I mean, what is that all about? And then there was this guy that I had to walk past. They just, I don't know if it's just me, but they look so real. And then that we went into this room and we find a 6-man bicycle. Never seen anything like that before. And in the same room as this massive train set. This train set just runs all day. So you can see that by everything I've showed you so far, the guy that bought this place in 1977 was just totally eccentric and probably very childlike. He obviously loved to play, he loved to invent things, because a lot of these mechanical people that you see here, he made them. He loved to be in his workshop making all this stuff. His name was Richard Haynes, and I may have said before, when he took over this place in 1977, it was virtually derelict. So he's built it up bit by bit with all of this stuff that he collected, that he made and put on show here. So I didn't film this bit. My husband filmed this for me because I didn't want to go into this room, and you'll see why in a moment. Can you see up there in the window? There's this really freaky mechanical puppet thing. You'll see in a minute. He moves, and it's, if you go near it, I guess it breaks a beam or something, and he starts to move. Oh, it just freaked me out. But look at all these household gadgets. There was loads of vacuum cleaners, like very, very old vacuum cleaners. There's me hiding in the doorway. I didn't want to go in there. I am really weird like that. It's a tiny room. See, there he is, look. Look at that. He reminds me of those ventriloquist dummies that they had sort of, I don't know, back in the old music hall days. I don't like them. Look at him. Weird. So yeah, and now we go on to, can you see the two maids there? One of them is turning a handle there, and the other one looks like she's vacuuming. Well, that handle that she's turning is working the suction for the vacuum cleaner. Can you imagine having to clean a whole castle like that? I mean, this is obviously stuff that this Richard Haynes collected, and I don't know who would be using these things. Obviously wealthy people in the 1920s. I love the way this guy just sits there like a corpse beside this fire that would have, or this heater that would have been the absolute bee's knees in those days, along with this telephone as well. Look at that, how ornate that is. Yeah, and a few laundry items here. I remember my mum using a mangle like the one that you just saw, the two rollers. And does anyone remember these things? Artistic figure studies. I mean, these were just dirty pictures, really, of the day, of the 1920s. Or not dirty, I suppose you call them erotic. What the butler saw, you put a penny in there and look through that hole and see all sorts of things. So this is some kind of a tack room. It's also got all the gubbins for making cider. And I suppose this was another one of Richard Haynes's mechanical models that he made. I don't know that for sure, but I know, oh, this is where it got really freaky. And you're going to hear me, I'm actually going to leave some of the soundtrack in. I got so freaked out. This is my worst nightmare. I would not want to go down into a dungeon, but Gary just went down there and I had to follow, because otherwise I'd have been left upstairs on my own. I was really freaking out down here, because it's a lot narrower than it looks. I felt so hemmed in, and there was, everywhere you looked, there was these weird windows with stuff behind the glass and noises, and it was just weird. just this labyrinth of tunnels that they call the dungeons. And because there was nobody else down there, just us, it's really weird. I think lots of people would really love this, but I'm not cut out for this. I kept saying to Gary, don't leave me, don't leave me. I don't know where I thought he was going to go. And also when I wasn't filming, I kept grabbing his arm. And you'll see there's quite a few mechanical models down here. And some of them freaked me out, some of them didn't. But we did reach a point where I can't remember what the sign said, but it said something like, people of a nervous disposition don't go past this point. And I thought, well, I've been freaked out anyway up to that point. I did not want to see what was behind the door. So I don't know what was behind the door, where that notice said, people of a nervous disposition, or something along those lines. It gave you the opportunity to leave through like an emergency door. I mean, look at this. Oh, shit. That's just horrible. Ew. No, not for me. But I think a lot of children would love this. I would definitely recommend going there, unless you're like me, in which case don't. But yeah, when we reached the point where that notice said, leave now through this door if you're going to get freaked out by anything worse, I literally ran down the corridor and burst through that door out into the open, and I've never been so relieved to be out of that dungeon. I would go back. I would go back because I would know what to expect next time. But yeah, I think I bruised Gary's arm a few times by sort of gripping hold of his arm. And of course he came out with me, so neither of us know what was behind the door. And it was so kind of dungeony. I can't explain. It doesn't look so bad on the video, but everything felt so close and dark. Tell me what you think. Would you have been freaked out going down there? Is it just me? Look at all these weird things in these cabinets. You can see that the guy that made all this, the guy that owned the place from 1977, I think, up till, was it 2023? I'm not sure when it was bought by the company that currently owns it. And that company is called the Escapade Group, and they own a few attractions like this in the UK. Well, I don't know if they're like this because I haven't been to any of their other attractions. But I think the attractions they own are quite quirky. There's another one they own. I think it's called Hobble Down or something. I will put links in my blog post for anyone that lives in the UK that is interested in going to see any of their... I mean, this is the castle and a theme park, because I'll show you in a moment. There's also a theme park at the back of the castle, and they've got some really old rides there, I think going back probably to the 19th century. Really old rides. And they've got this thing called Gnome. It's like a gnome land, which children would really love. Yeah, it's the quirkiest place I've ever been in. Yeah, so here we are out in the open, and my God, I was so happy to be out here. Yeah, and I mean, at a certain point in the day, there's normally doors across here. When you look up to this roof space, there's normally doors across there. But at a certain time of day, the doors suddenly open, and these things start to sing. I haven't actually got the sound on because I think there might be copyright issues. I think the songs may still be in copyright, I'm not sure. I mean, the owners of the castle wouldn't have a problem with me having the sound on, but I think there may be copyright claims on my video if I allow the sound. So before I publish this, I'm actually going to run it through YouTube to see if it does come up with any copyright issues. So it may be that there will be music on here. I'm not sure. If there isn't, it's because there were copyright issues, okay? So yeah, it's all very odd. See, the doors close on that one now because it's done its thing. And then at a certain point, when the clock reaches a certain time, the doors will open again. Oh, and this was a theatre that's just kind of built into you're walking up this, you're coming around this walkway, and there's suddenly this doorway into this cavernous theatre that's got tiered seating. You can't see it because it's below where I'm filming from. I'm actually filming from a balcony where there's lots of very old amusement machines that you get in amusement arcades. So I think, are they pennies or 2 pennies in there? I can't remember. But yeah, so I was up on this balcony where my husband was having a look at these various machines, and these were the kind of machines that were in the amusement arcades when we were kids. So, you know, they are ancient, but that means we are too. But this is what we remember. Whenever we went to the fair, these are the kind of machines that we were playing on. So we were having a look at them, but in that theatre where they've got the tiered seating just over the balcony, a water show was going on. I've never seen anything like it. And again, that came from the mind of Richard Haynes, that was the owner before the Escapade Group bought it. And so he just loved all this stuff. So there's my husband having a go on one of the machines. I'm not sure if that was meant to happen, but the penny just kept falling through. He did eventually put it in another machine, and the machine actually did keep it, but I think this must have malfunctioned. I don't think the penny was meant to fall through. So yeah, it was just all very strange. And I think what added to the strangeness was because we were there very close to closing time and there weren't very many people there at all. I think that's what made it stranger. I think if there'd been a few people around, it wouldn't have felt so weird. Oh, there's another one of those artistic machines with artistic pictures. Yeah, strange. I suppose that would have been the porn of the time. I just need to warn you, in a few moments there's going to be a strobe effect come up on screen. So if you are affected by strobe lights, please move past this section. So you can just about see in the background there where the water fountains are playing. I did go around there and film quite a lot of it. And again, it had the Fairground organ music, which I do find very atmospheric. I mean, can you imagine the mechanics that have gone into designing this? You know, the network of water pipes and how everything's got to be timed with the music and the lighting. Yeah, it was just strange, quite spectacular really. I would love to have met the guy that designed all this. I think, you know, by all accounts he was eccentric, definitely. But the world needs people like that. If you're interested in finding out more about the history of Watermouth, if you just go onto their website, you will find there is a brief history and a couple of pictures. of what the castle looked like back in the 1800s, when the original owner, or the guy that built it, when he was living there. You know, there's suits of armour and furniture typical of the era. It was nothing like this, but it did look quite austere back then, with all these suits of armour standing around. So yeah, that's all I'm going to show you of the Water and Light show. There is a lot more of it, and it gets quite patriotic, but I won't show you any more because perhaps you might even want to go there and have a look yourself. So then after that we went into another building in the courtyard where there was even more old fairground amusements, mainly all sort of mechanical stuff that you would put coins in and watch a show. There was this one machine which would give prizes if you were lucky enough. I don't recall ever seeing anyone get a prize from one of these machines, but I suppose people did back in the day. I mean, at the time they were sort of state-of-the-art machines, weren't they? And then there was this really weird fortune teller. This is the stuff of nightmares, isn't it, really? And we both had our fortunes told, and unfortunately I didn't film the results, and I have absolutely no idea where those slips of paper went, but I remember mine was quite funny. I know when it came out of the machine I laughed my head off, and I can't remember what it said. I'm so annoyed. So that was that. I suppose it was all really clever stuff at the time. And of course back then we didn't have computers. Well, I say we, some of these probably predate me and Gary, to be honest. But when these machines were in their heyday, people didn't have phones, they didn't have TV, they didn't have, I suppose we had cinema, but these would have been, you know, the main sort of way of amusing people on holiday in England. Oh, this clown. Such a strange thing. I may have to have the music off for this one as well. I'm not really sure. I am going to run it through YouTube and see what happens, but I may have to take it down and republish without any music. I can see why loads of people don't like clowns. They're pretty sinister, aren't they? And when we were finished in there, we still had a bit of time before they closed to go out and have a look at the theme park at the back. And it was a real treat to see these very, very old rides. Some of them, as I said before, dating back to, I would guess, the 19th century, and probably early 20th century. But it amazes me that these rides are still in good working order, and that there's people around that, you know how to maintain them, because they all look like they're in really good condition. So for anybody that has got this far in the video, thank you so much for watching this far. I don't know how many people will be interested in this. I love this kind of thing. I really, really love it. So I think everyone does. But in reality, I'm sure there's probably a very niche market for this kind of footage. But for anybody that is still with me at this point, thank you so much. I really appreciate you still being here. Well, that's it for the weird and wonderful Watermouth Castle. We're back where we began at the beginning of the video. This is where you come out when you've been through the entire castle. And once you've been in the castle, you can go down and enjoy the harbour. There is so much to look at in Ilfracombe. This was our first time visiting there, and we camped in our camper van, and we stayed on a really lovely site, and we had a wonderful week here, and we'll definitely be coming back again, and we'll definitely come back to Watermouth Castle. So, for everyone that has made it to the end of the video, thank you. And I will say goodbye to you now. Don't forget to go and get your free printable for the abstract sun paper beads. As I said at the beginning, this video is a very unusual one for me because I normally only do craft related videos on here. So if you want to see more craft videos and get more of my free designs, consider subscribing on here, and please, if you enjoyed any part of this video, I would love it if you would hit the thumbs up for me, and if you have the opportunity to hit the hype button, I would really appreciate that. And don't forget, the link to my website where all my free printables are is in the description underneath this video. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it, and see you in the next video when I will have more free designs for you. Take care everyone, and see you next time. Bye.